A good villain has many traits that define him or her, and first and foremost has to be a road obstacle for the protagonist of the series. Not only that, a villain in anime serves only one purpose in the whole show, and that is to make the main character stronger or experience a change in emotions, actions, or previous principles that defined him or her. A villain must also continue to seize the emotions of the fans as well as hold considerable power in the series. And one part where most of the anime go wrong with this is in the power scaling of their main antagonist. Some villains may be too strong while some may be too weak, and then there's your regulars who maybe are a bit too antagonistic for their own good. Those who are villains for anything but a good reason are failed villains, for they cannot describe their evil intentions as the story makes them out to be. Or maybe similarly to One Piece, these villains are all a bit quirky in their own right, and each one poses a new threat to the main character than ever before. While One Piece villains are certainly good, and while I might have made a video on them, they did not have some of the key elements a good and flawless villain needs. For example, unjustified bloodlust is one reason why some of the villains in One Piece needed to struggle to gain traction. However, in One Piece, everyone, friend or foe, has one goal in common, and that is to capture the treasure hidden somewhere on the planet. While this fact enhances the storyline of the One Piece series, it fails to produce deviation in the reasoning behind each good or bad villain the protagonists seem to face. For this reason, it made One Piece struggle in finding mostly truly good antagonists in their series, as the whole theme of this anime was to portray the stereotypical pirate, and you can't get any deeper than that. Though I will admit some villains like Doflamingo, the warlords, and even the admirals of the world government are extremely deep, Naruto just edges them out in terms of sheer backstory and hype for the characters they have put on the plate for us. Moreover, some of the iconic villains they have created even surpass the rules I laid out earlier for a flawless anime villain, including the twisted yet productive backstory of Itachi Uchiha, amongst others. Not only that, an introduction to the mammoth of a presence, Madara Uchiha, has long solidified Naruto in its bid for the best group of anime villains in history. Amongst these few names, we also have the Akatsuki to analyze, as well as the only villain who Naruto might have struggled to introduce, this being Kaguya Otsutsuki. Rather, the villain template of herself was accurate. However, the way Kishimoto brought her on to the series made it seem as if she was counter-reacting and somehow stealing the hype Madara received, therefore receiving reviews to be a bad anime villain. The fact that we have to wrap our heads around is that Kaguya may or may not have been brought in on the right spot, but it was clear she should have been there all along. From the very conception of chakra to how the verse is now, Kaguya proved a good stepping stone to advancing the plot of Naruto. With all of this said and all of the rules laid out, let's find out why Naruto has perfected the art of villainy. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button with post notifications on to get more anime and manga content straight into your YouTube feed. So first off, I would like to start with analysis of the Akatsuki, said to be by many the greatest villain group in all of anime. While the Akatsuki tops the list in almost everybody's minds, we'll have to break them down to analyze why exactly they hold such a value to their heart. After careful examination, one can see the Akatsuki as more than just a villain group. In essence, they are comparable to boy bands like the BTS from around the globe. This causes an effect which almost makes it feel as if these members have their own reality TV show or sitcom within the Naruto and Naruto Shippuden series. Because of this paradox, the personalities and principles of each villain member are constantly etched and memorized into the heart involuntarily by the fans, after the point in which they become sort of like best friends. As is similar with real life, you can only know a person truly after you have shared their emotions and experiences. So it would follow that as these Akatsuki members wear their heart on their sleeve, we're constantly reintroduced to who they really are, and by that time we can learn to look past the obvious villainy acts they have committed in hopes of viewing their better side. And I feel one true rule and effect all mangakas and writers are trying to achieve is this one quote: if a villain is seen as a hero by the fans, then you have made a flawless antagonist. What is meant by this is that if the villain has earned sympathy from us, then he or she has done his job properly. Secondly, for the Akatsuki is their backstories that are paired with each member, a good reason for villainy as I mentioned earlier. Each of these backstories was perfectly crafted to explain the villain's current emotions and why they're doing a certain thing. The most memorable example of this happening during the series is with Itachi Uchiha, a villain who seemingly was in the dark part of our minds for killing the protagonist's whole clan for apparently no reason. However, we learned that Itachi had been forced into a political corner by the higher-ups, from a village we all thought was free from being corrupt. Not only this, but the beauty of villains in Naruto to make us think twice about something is exactly what makes us regard them highly. Pain is one other villain, the Akatsuki, I would love to talk about. Aside from trying to destroy the village, he was also the interim leader of this so-called group. But aside from all that, even if he did momentarily kill Kakashi and the rest of our protagonist, we were left with a fading hate towards him. This is most likely due to another factor of villainy, and this is the powers they all possess. The powers are something more than just to make the villain strong. It should also represent them for who they are and be unique to the world. Pain revealed just that with his Rinnegan, providing another stepping stone for the mega plot of Naruto. Not only that, Pain has his own quotes and ideology that he followed, almost like creating a whole another religion in the Naruto verse. This was a cycle of hatred and pain, and his quotes have been used up until this day. This only goes to show the harsh reality of what Pain is representing when he says this, a careful prod to remind us of the harsh corners of the world. Alas, we move on to Madara, perhaps the pinnacle of villainy in anime history. The single most famous character in the Naruto series, his name has been mentioned as all to be a legend. Though he has been perfected in all the arts of villainy as mentioned earlier, there's one thing that makes him stand apart from the rest, and that is hype. Hype is basically giving a taste of the villain according to extreme heights, meaning giving them a taste of the most beautiful fruit in the world, but only a little. This was done through flashbacks and even just a mention of his name, as shown when even other powerful characters were flinching while saying it. Madara was slowly built up to who he actually was, and we had extremely high expectations for this beast. But hype can also be the one thing that destroys an anime as well, because if the build-up doesn't match the payoff, then this might result in fans abandoning the series altogether. But with Madara, they succeeded to abnormal levels, introducing him with a fight and immense godlike power we'd never seen before. Because of this success in the field of hype, Madara was able to realize full potential and make the villains of the series even more greater. And that's it for today's anime and manga discussion. I hope you really liked it, and if you did, hit that subscribe button to see me next time.